Hi, this is Jason. I've been in contact with you, or you've been in contact with me regarding the Supra. As I've said in the post up on Facebook and in the subsequent conversations I've probably had with whoever's been in contact and who I'm sending this to, it's not actually for sale yet, but you know, for the right offer I would probably consider selling it now, as it doesn't get the use that it once did. Anyway, I thought I'd give you a quick video around the car before sending pictures. As you can see where it's been painted once before. This wasn't actually as bad as it looks now, but a few months ago I could see it peeling a little bit, so I just thought I'd dig around at how far it had got. Obviously the metal work on the wing isn't affected, it's just the plastic on the bumper. When I got the car, although this car is a 1997 facelift, it didn't have the centre bar in the bumper, so I got a brand new one of those from Toyota while they were still available and have it painted. You can see the width bits front mount intercooler kit there. While at the front of the car you can see the headlights are in very, very good condition for a Supra this age. And as I said before, these were replaced. They've got a bit of dust on them at the moment, but you can see that the lenses are completely clear. The chrome rings are in perfect condition, and I think the car had maybe a year's use before it's parked up with having these new lights on, and as you can tell they're really in incredible condition. So those, the indicators and the rear lights, which I'll get to in a bit, were replaced at the time. Coming to the front corner markers, these are US spec ones, so obviously it's a Japanese spec car. I thought that the US spec ones were a nicer match for the white paintwork on the car. They pop a bit more than the tinted Jap spec ones, and the Jap spec ones stick out a little bit, which I didn't like. You see a little bit of crazing under that there. So near side front wing, a very minor sort of scratch there. The arches have been rolled before. You see there's no rust or anything like that visible. Near side front wheel, you can see that there's some corrosion around the edge under the diamond cut, and on the wheels as a whole, I'll point these out as much as I can to you. There are little bubbles appearing here and there. As said to many of you, the sale, if I decide to sell, will also include a full set of standard 17-inch facelift wheels with the centre caps, though these do require refurbishment as well. Looking at the brake calipers there, I replaced these new. So the car came from the factory with a smaller brake setup, and I had the factory larger 4-pot front and 2-pot rear calipers fitted along the larger discs. The car's obviously been stood for a long time, so as such I'd have to recommend the discs and the pads were replaced due to surface corrosion on those. A few small marks from storage, but probably just clean off. As I said to probably at least some of you, I wouldn't actually touch the paintwork. I've literally just pulled it out of the garage now where it's been sat. So obviously there are little bits of dirt and dust and that kind of thing on the cars to be expected. I wanted to be 100% honest with anyone looking at the vehicle, so you can make your own mind up before I put a washcloth anywhere near it. You can see on the mirror here that the paint is flatted. Now the paint is flatted on the, it's hard to see probably, but on the pillars, the roof, and they could do with a good polish. I don't think that these sections will need repainting. Just obviously to be 100% transparent, before I got the car, probably while it was in Japan, it's had some paintwork done on it, and you can see a masking line here. Now in the past, this has been on the car the entire time I've had it. When the car's given a good wash and a polish and what have you, you really can't see this. Some very, very small surface dabs here from stone chips. But if we go around to the corners of the windscreen where these cars often go in this sort of area, you can see it's absolutely mint. That's just a bit of foam there from a washcloth or something from the past. The car actually came from the factory with the factory option side skirts and spats. I didn't like these as much as the full stock body, so I saw side pods and hockey sticks, etc., and had them fitted. You can see on the rear wheels here more of that corrosion. I don't believe there's any curbing on the wheels. I've always been very careful with the car. There might be a small amount that isn't very visible because of the corrosion there, but certainly if there is anything, it's not serious at all. These wheels would certainly refurbish to a very good standard. They're very expensive BBS RGR wheels. As you can see, they're forged. They're very lightweight single piece wheels, and they're a lovely wheel setup for these. These are the twin piston rear calipers. There's a bit of surface corrosion going on there, but nothing a good clean wouldn't sort out on those. I'd probably clean them up if I was keeping the car and get them lacquered. For some reason the front ones come lacquered from the factory and the rear ones didn't. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a change in production at Toyota or when they outsource it, but obviously telling you all this to be 100% transparent, so any of you decide you might want to come look at the car, you know, you're not going to get any surprises. And you can see the rear wing there in good condition. Nürburgring sticker, because this car did go to the Nürburgring once. It was a fantastic car. Drove around Germany and Spain in it, and brilliant car on the track. Brilliant car for the road trip. At one point I drove for 19 hours almost straight, only to stop for fuel and the odd very quick sleep, and it was 100% reliable on that trip. Rear lights also in excellent condition. Now, for non-brand new lights, you really won't find better than that. The rear bumper is a very desirable UK spec item. So the car came to me with a Japanese spec one with the plate cut out, as these always have. I wanted to fit smaller plates to the car, hence the private plate, which I only sourced really because I wanted to fit smaller plates on it. And of course there's no ugly cutout. These are valuable things now and hard to come across. HK Super Dradger exhaust system fitted. The turbo kit on the car, which I'll come to in a bit, is a HKS item with a HKS downpipe. In the second decat pipe, I've had a flexible section welded, and you know, this was to prolong the life of the exhaust manifold, because these can, on tubular manifolds like this, crack because of the weight of the exhaust. Now, the thing I've pointed out most in the advert that people are curious about, of course, is this bit of damage here. So you can see this dent, and because it's been parked up for a long time, you can see surface rust has begun here. This requires attention, of course, but this isn't, of course, anything a body shop can't handle. The red line you can see here is from the very careless person in the Mazda RX-8 who crashed into the car and then drove off. Because of the cutout here for the rear quarter marker, again, US spec items I've had fitted. It does require someone with a bit of knowledge of panel pulling. If it had been the pre-facelift car, apparently it would have been a bit easier to pull out without leaving marks in the metalwork. However, I've been assured by the professional dent puller who comes to the Volvo franchise I work in that this is fully repairable by someone of his skill, and in combination with a body shop, it should be a very good repair with very little filler required at all. And you can see the paint split on the back of the wing there, all as a result of what's gone on here. I have a replacement lamp unit for this. I sourced it because the original one was smashed when she drove into me. No further damage up the wing or anything. I'll open the boot lid shortly so you can see the hinge section. While we're here, actually, we'll have a quick look around the seal on the boot lid. Again, this is a very, very common rust area on these Supras, and as you can see, there's nothing to concern yourself about here. Offside rear wheel. I would also recommend that while the tyres are probably in fairly good condition by appearance, I would probably replace them because the car has been sat for a long time on them. There's a little stone chip there with a bit of surface rust, and some very minor marks on the back of the door. I'll try and show you as best I can. The panels overall, with the exception of obviously the damage in the back, appears to be in very good condition, really, especially for a car this age. You know, there's none of these little dinks everywhere that you get with a lot of cars. As I told some of you, of course, that the car only came to this country in about 2014, I believe it was, and as such has been saved from a lot of the careless car parking incidents that a lot of them fall to. The scuttle panel needs a good clean, but I replaced this with a brand new Toyota item just before the car's parked up, so when it's cleaned up it should be very black, unlike most of them which are greyed. At the same time I had the wiper arms painted, so you know this really does make the panel look really nice compared to the factory white paintwork, and it de-ages the car a little bit. Down to the business end, so this is obviously the 2JZ GTE VVTI engine the car comes with. So this is the factory engine from the car. So it has a non-VVTI plenum fitted to it. The reason for this is because of the electronic drive-by-wire throttle fitted to it here. This is the pipework for the whiff bits from our intercooler kit. It has a Toyota drive-by-wire pedal. I believe these are from a Lexus SC430, although I could be mistaken. Whiff Bits sorted this for me when the car went in for the single turbo conversion. You can see some flaking here on the rocker covers. This started when the car was parked up. But it is only on the surface. My recommendation with these, really, because the rocker covers are actually in good condition, there's none of the cracking which can occur on the fixing points, is I'd have them stripped down and then probably powder coated in crackle black, and you would never know. You can see the 3 coil packs here. This is because of the wasted spark set up in the VVTI cars. It's had 3 new coil packs fitted just maybe a year or so before the car's parked up, and the clips are replaced as well with the wiring soldered in, because of course, so any of you know these cars well, those clips can become brittle with age and cause misfires. So this is the HKS turbo kit. Garrett GTX 3576R dual ball bearing turbo. Very, very highly responsive turbocharger in this car. It's actually a lot smaller than people tend to fit to them, but when I built the car I was more interested in a responsive setup, and with having the auto gearbox fitted, I couldn't really push the numbers too much. Whiff Bits catch can setup. Now I sourced these dampers here for the bonnet, so there's none of the silly bonnet rod nonsense at the front, and I had these brackets, well, I made the brackets and I had them powder coated, so it all looks factory under here, and as you can see it supports the bonnet perfectly. Really nice, extra that, especially when the car was in better days and took it to the odd show and that thing, you don't have a big bonnet strut in the way. Plenty of dust and what have you, obviously, from being stored for so long. The turbo kit came with a HKS air filter, but these have a bit of a ropey reputation, so that was replaced with a brand new HKS item at the time. Coolant bottle currently installed in the car is from a Honda Civic. It was on the other side. I've fitted a Volvo battery which I've sourced from work to move the car around a bit, because the other battery was not in the best of health. So that probably wants putting back on the other side and the correct battery fitting to it. This is an APR carbon scuttle panel. Now it's actually covered in black Plastidip at the moment. Now it's starting to, the Plastidip's starting to wear through. However, of course, if you wanted to show, you can see some bits here. So the carbon underneath should be in very good condition, and if you wanted to show that off, removing the Plastidip layer would reveal the carbon underneath, which they come in a gloss carbon finish and look really nice. I was just looking for a very understated look for the engine bay. When it's all cleaned up and what have you, it looks very nice. The plug cover's not on at the moment, it's currently sat in the car, which I'll show you in a minute. So coming to the car, so I sourced these specific seat covers for the car. These are made for the Recaro trend lines and fit them perfectly. And you can see these are obviously in very good condition. They've been protected while they've been in storage. They are second-hand ones that came from a Renault Sport Megane. The owner turned the car into a track car and fitted proper bucket seats, but for this car, these are lovely. They suit the interior better than any other type of seat that I've seen. They look more factory than the awful grey cloth ones the cars come with, and especially as you know, you've got this grey suede in the centres, matches the grey of the facelift dash panels really well. This is one of the, and I'm not just saying this because I built the car, but this is one of the nicest looking super interiors I've ever come across, and I built it specifically to look as factory as it could. So you can see it has not the original steering wheel from the car, but it's the same type. So this originally had the same type of wheel, but with buttons here and on the back for the Tiptronic system. I've replaced this with a factory 3-spoke manual wheel, so retaining the airbag, and then you can see the AMG paddle shifters, which utilise the factory VVTI Tiptronic wiring, and they're mounted to the back of the steering wheel there. It all looks factory, works really well for what it is. And of course, in the future, if a prospective owner wanted to go down the ZF8 or the dual clutch transmission gearbox route, you've already got a really nice paddle shifter set up that looks factory in the car. You can see the toucan display for the Civex there. I've tried to make this look as factory as possible, and as you can see, I did have to take a slight notch out of the gauge cluster panel, not the gauge cluster itself, you know, that wasn't touched, but the dash panel here was just trimmed slightly to tuck that in there, just to cover the OEM clock position, which also acts as a bracket for this now. But as far as these gauge and display setups go, I doubt you're going to find a nicer looking one than this. I spent a lot of time and effort making this look factory, and it does look really well. Another nice thing you'll find here is that I replaced all of the climate buttons with brand new ones, probably only a few months before the car was parked up, and as such these all look brand new. There's no yellowing, which most of them have at this point. See down here the heated seat switch. These are in excellent condition. The heated seats work perfectly, and this is a very rare, expensive and desirable extra for the car. Certainly this switch itself is worth hundreds upon hundreds of dollars, if not more. This switch here, it was made out of a traction control switch. It's not currently wired up, but certainly could be. The idea being that if an anti-lag setup was fitted to the car, it could be wired into that switch on the right. There's a wire set up for cruise control. Now this doesn't actually work particularly well. It's something I asked the Civex people to look into doing when they were mapping the car, and it's rudimentary. It works as such, but it does drop out intermittently. It's not dangerous or anything like that, and no, it doesn't cause any problems, but sometimes the cruise control drops out. But yeah, that looks about as close to factory as I could make that look. You can see the missing trim piece here, so that was because I had a active spoiler fitted with the switch. This has been sold on since. It had to be removed during mapping because the Whiffbits side mount intercooler I had fitted to the car wasn't enough to cope with the turbo setup, so we had to fit a front mount, which meant losing that. However, I believe I have two of these switch blanks with the spare parts slot in the garage. I'll have to sort through. Not a major issue, but obviously this is all for transparency. This is a cubby hole from a Nissan 200SX. Again, so it's got an Alpine single DIN head unit. It's supposed to be Bluetooth though. If I remember right, I don't believe the Bluetooth works. It's quite a subtle looking head unit, but the Nissan tray's quite a nice thing really compared to a lot of them. If I decide to carry on with the car and have further work done to it, I'd probably replace this with a doubled in screen, which is obviously the norm these days. This is the plug cover. I had painted in gloss black, needs a good clean, but it's in really good condition and it looks fantastic in the engine bay. I also believe that I have a cubby hole to fit the airbag position. I've never installed it, but that could certainly be supplied with the car. In terms of other spares that I have, so as I mentioned before, I've got the full set of factory wheels. I also have the full standard suspension setup that came with the car. That's always been kept in the garage, so it's in excellent condition, and like I said, will come with it along with other bits and pieces I've collected. All the door cards and what have you, you know, the interior presents really, really well in this car. You can see that I had I fitted a vinyl seat to replace the facelift grey cloth one. The dash is lifting a bit there. What I'd probably do myself is strip the vents and the airbag panel out, get a bit of adhesive behind it and put some G-clamps and a strap on there and glue it back. I've done this before on Supras when they've started to go here and it does work really well. I modified the surround for the VVTI Tiptronic shifter, so it looks like a kid's toy from the factory. All of the letters and numbers have got colours in them. I didn't like that at all, so you can see the transparency there now, and that illuminates, and it looks much better than factory. And then you've got the matched retrimmed handbrake gear knob, and you can see on the steering wheel all trimmed by the same trimmer to match each other. All looks really nice, but very, very OEM looking. Has these desirable thicker pile mats. These are a factory option. They're really nice. Can obviously do with a good clean, but you know they're in pretty good condition overall. I've seen these where there's some bobbling on the other side, which will probably be cleaned up okay. I've seen these dyed black before and they look really nice, you know, to go with the black facelift carpet, black headlining as well in these facelift cars. And that's really about it that I can think about up top. I'll try and take some pictures of the underside of the car. It won't be the easiest thing to do on my drive, but I'll do what I can for you. Please feel free to get in contact if you've got any more concerns, and apologies in advance for if I feel like or any of you feel like I've messed you about. It's not an easy decision to come to selling the car. Like I said, I'm not still decided if I want to, but it does sit here a lot, not doing a great deal, and it's hard to justify keeping really. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope this has been informative, and feel free to ask me any questions. Thanks.